What's going on here? Okay, here's what I actually think, all right? Let's connect some dots here. I think we got some volatility incoming. You know why I think there's volatility incoming? Because check this out. Look at the DXY right now on the daily time frame. This is the US dollar index. This thing kind of looks like it's on an uptrend, okay? And basic principles tell us that if the dollar is on an uptrend, assets are theoretically on a downtrend. I don't know if you noticed, but like all the headlines in the news and everything like this is like, oh, the end of the world is coming, like literally. So when people think the end of the world is coming, they run to the dollar. People are flocking to the dollar. They're selling their stocks or whatever. They're selling their assets and they're loading up on dollars. That graph is going up. But these people, they're all gamblers, right? Every single one of them. So if they have a bunch of dollars and those dollars are not invested, what are they going to do? They're going to buy crypto with it, dude, especially if crypto is dipping because people are flocking to the dollars. So I don't know if you see all these dots connecting, but I'm just trying to point out that be ready for that volatility and then just know that it's directly correlated to this whole panic mindset. And when people panic, they go to the dollar. But soon they're going to have a bunch of dollars and they're going to be like done panicking. And they're like, okay, I'm done panicking. I'm trying to get back to gambling, right? And they're going to gamble on crypto, especially if the price is right. And I'm not talking about a super long period of time. I'm talking about like over the next like month or less. Like this is all about to happen really quickly. I just think it's worth pointing out what's going on with the US dollar. And it's definitely kind of on an uptrend in the relatively short term. If we zoom out, you know, there's already been a lot of volatility in the US dollar basically over the past entire year, a little longer than a year. So it could be due for, you know, a little bit more of retracement. I personally think it's going to get rejected, you know, somewhere around these parts. Look at these dates too, right? Somewhere around these parts, we're going to have probably a rejection. And that rejection is just going to be everybody who's like, okay, I got a bunch of dollars. Let's get rid of my dollars and let's gamble on crypto, because crypto is going to be the sweet spot. I think stocks are going to be selling off as well. And that's partly why this dollar is uptrending. People are selling stocks and they're selling their assets, I think, related to real estate. Actually, people are selling real estate right now because that kind of seems like the top of the market. If we think about the conditions of the world going forward, once again, I've said this before, but we see a lot of reason to believe that, you know, the housing market could be due for a big correction there. That'll pump up the dollar for sure. I think that's already starting to happen. But I think digital properties will be a place where people are going to be putting those dollars. So I hope all that makes sense, connecting these dots. It aligns with the big picture trend of Bitcoin. Like there's this whole idea where, you know, the chart reflects reality in a way. For example, like the crash in March 2020 here. So in the chart, you can see, okay, this like COVID panic thing happened. In the chart up here, this is just a result of people basically got over their panic and, you know, look what happened. And I think there's still a lot of euphoria going on in the macro picture of Bitcoin, where I think the housing market is becoming more speculative and it's not quite euphoria. It's like the big guys being like, oh, okay, it's time to get out. They're all like, yo, give me some dollars. That's because they're selling their real estate. That's what it comes down to. So I've said this. I've just repeated the same point a whole bunch of times. But I think it's a really bullish sentiment on crypto specifically. And I think, like I said, we're about to see the grand finale of the stock market. That's going to be shown in AMC and GME. I mean, that's just where my bets are placed. What do I know? I'm very, very bullish on crypto right now. I'm getting more bullish by the day. And I would love to see some type of pullback, because I believe that, you know, this thing is destined for the upside. So any significant pullback I see in crypto, I'm so ready to buy. Let's just look at, like, dude, I mean, look at all this, dude. Algo's at $2 freaking. I mean, stuff is starting to move. Look at OMG is almost at $10. Solana, I love Solana because look what happened. Like, it kind of bounced off this 135. Maybe we'll see if that is the start of another uptrend. Like I said, I don't think Solana is done. I think Solana could go, honestly, like to $500 and potentially beyond. And that would only assume that Bitcoin makes it to maybe $100,000. But for all of these reasons that I just said about the housing market beginning to sell off, the dollar sort of just having an uptrend here and just sort of pumping, that tells me that Bitcoin has some potential volatility ahead of it. But in a big picture, if you really zoom out on this thing in a big picture way, I mean, it's kind of obvious that this thing is on sort of an unstoppable uptrend, and there's gonna be volatility in it, but it's just got a lot of macro bullishness, and that's the way to consider it when you compare it to the other financial markets, specifically the housing market, the stock market, what the dollar is doing. So hopefully all that makes sense to you guys. I feel like things are about to just go absolutely ballistically bonkers in all aspects of reality. And I think crypto is just gonna be like pumping in the background, like the internet money of the future, just going completely insane. And everyone's just like, oh, what the hell is going on with this stuff? Meanwhile, the rest of the world is like, what is actually happening right now? Oh, it's a giant paradigm shift. That's what's happening. We're in the middle. We're living in the midst of a huge historical overhaul. And we're going to be talking about this. It's crazy, man. It's really interesting. Hope you guys are just good, dude, because I'm pretty good. So, good, dude.
This is the time when your life could take on a different level of propulsion. If you have prepared yourself well, either with education or some skill or yoga on any of these things, that is the time when it can propel.
Flying away from complacency, initiating this divinity, responding to the call into great